If you are a 1, you can't expect 10s to follow you. Let that sink in. You can't be confused about why nobody's listening, why nobody's following, why nobody believes in your vision, when you haven't become the person worth following yet. This ain't an insult. This is information. A 1 can only lead zeros. That doesn't make you weak. It just means you've got work to do. The problem starts when a 1 is frustrated that 3s, 4s, and 5s aren't moving with them. They're not ignoring you, they're responding to who you are. Leadership isn't about control. It's not about volume. It's not about having the loudest voice in the room. Leadership is about becoming. When you grow into a 10, you don't have to chase people down. 8s, 7s, 6s, they naturally line up. Not because you demanded it, but because your life speaks before your mouth ever opens. Your discipline talks. Your consistency talks. Your character talks. Not too many people want relationships, opportunities, respect, and influence before they've done the inner work. You want a title before transformation. You want authority before accountability. But life doesn't work like that. When you level up as a person, everything around you starts responding differently. People treat you differently. Businesses move differently. Doors open that didn't even know your name before. You don't find leadership. You don't stumble into it. You don't wait on it. You build it. Day by day, choice by choice. When you decide to stop being reactive and start being intentional. When you stop blaming circumstances and start shaping yourself. Somewhere right now, the people you're meant to lead are watching who you're becoming, not what you're claiming. And hear this clearly, leadership isn't about being over people. It's about being solid within yourself. When you mature, when you develop, when you handle your responsibilities like a grown person, the world adjusts. You don't have to beg for alignment. You attract it. You don't chase respect. You earn it. The reason many people feel overlooked is because they skip the becoming part. They want Friday results without Monday discipline. They want influence without investment. But when you commit to becoming the right person mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, you won't have to convince anyone. Your life will introduce you. This is about deciding today that you're done trying to lead from an empty place. Done trying to pull people with words instead of pulling them with example. When you develop when you handle your business, when you build your foundation the right way, leadership won't be something you ask for. It will be something people give you without hesitation. If you are trying to lead people to a place you've never been, don't be surprised when nobody follows you. You can't fake elevation. You can't borrow maturity. You can't outsource growth. Leadership always exposes the level of personal development you're standing on. If you're a 1, you can talk all day, you can post quotes, you can wear the title, but at the end of the day, you can only influence zeros. Not because you're a bad person, but because influence responds to depth, not desire. Some of you are frustrated right now. You're asking, why won't they listen to me? Why don't they respect me? Why don't they move when I speak? And the answer is uncomfortable, but it's real. They're not responding to your words. They're responding to your life. They're watching how disciplined you are when nobody's clapping. They're watching how consistent you are when it's hard. They're watching how you handle pressure, rejection, responsibility. Leadership doesn't start when people show up. Leadership starts when you decide to grow up, that you want to lead grown people with childish habits. You want to influence disciplined individuals while living undisciplined. You want committed followers while you quit on yourself every time it gets uncomfortable. That doesn't work. Life has a system. People don't follow potential. They follow proof. They follow patterns. They follow people who've paid the price. When you level up internally, you don't have to announce it. Your environment will respond. Your circle will shift. Your conversations will change. Your standards will rise. And without saying a word, people at a lower level will either grow or fall away. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. You can't drag people where you refuse to discipline yourself to go. 2. Many people want authority before they've mastered accountability. You want to lead teams, families, businesses, movements, but you can't lead your mornings, your habits, your emotions. Leadership doesn't begin with others. It begins with self-command. When you can tell yourself no, when you can show up tired, when you can stay focused when distractions are loud. That's when leadership starts forming. Stop being offended. When life exposes your level, it's not rejecting you. It's instructing you. Every time people don't follow, that's feedback. Every time your influence stops short, that's information. It's telling you there's another version of you that needs to be developed. Another layer of discipline. Another level of commitment. Another standard you've been avoiding. When you grow, you don't need to beg for buy-in. You don't need to manipulate loyalty. You don't need to demand respect. Growth handles that for you. When you become stronger, wiser, sharper, more consistent, people feel it. And the moment you become a 10, 8s, 7, 6s start lining up naturally. Not because you asked them to, but because leadership is magnetic when it's real. So, don't focus on followers. Focus on formation. Don't focus on titles. Focus on transformation. Become the kind of person whose presence raises the room. Become the kind of person whose work speaks before introductions are made. When you develop yourself to the next level, leadership won't be something you chase. It will be something that shows up looking for you. Too many people think leadership is something you're handed, like a badge, like a chair at the table, like a title on a business card. But leadership doesn't come with an announcement. It doesn't show up with applause. Leadership shows up when you do. When you become. You don't get promoted into leadership, you grow into it. And that's the part most people don't want to hear, because becoming requires patience, pressure, and personal change. You can be the boss and still not be a leader. You can have the title and still have no influence. Because leadership isn't about position, it's about presence. It's who you are when nobody's watching. It's how you respond when things don't go your way. It's how you handle responsibility when it's heavy and gratitude when it's light. People don't follow instructions, they follow identity. Some of you are waiting for permission to lead. You're waiting for someone to validate you, to appoint you, to recognize you. But real leadership doesn't wait. It develops in silence. It's built in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the choices nobody sees. Leadership is forged when you decide to stop reacting and start responding. When you decide to stop complaining and start creating solutions. When you become disciplined, people feel safe around you. When you become consistent, people trust you. When you become emotionally mature, people lean on you. That's leadership, not control, not intimidation, not popularity. Becoming stable in chaos. Becoming focused when others are scattered. Becoming calm when pressure hits. That's why leadership is internal before it's external. You don't lead people by telling them what to do. You lead people by showing them what's possible. When your life reflects clarity, effort, and growth, others start asking questions without you saying a word. They don't ask because you demanded attention. They ask because you're becoming created curiosity. Leadership doesn't start when people follow you. Leadership starts when you can lead yourself. When you can manage your time. When you can govern your emotions. When you can control your habits. If you can't tell yourself no, don't expect others to tell you yes. If you can't show up for your own vision, don't expect others to show up for it either. A title can be taken away. A position can be replaced. But who you've become cannot be stripped from you. That's why leadership rooted in becoming lasts. It doesn't depend on platforms or applause. It travels with you. It works in any room. It speaks every language. Moment you shift your focus from trying to be seen as a leader to becoming someone worth following, everything changes. Pressure becomes preparation. Delay becomes development. And silence becomes strength. You stop forcing influence and start attracting it. You stop chasing respect and start earning it. Leadership stops being something you ask for and starts being something people recognize the moment you walk into the room. People don't follow what you say you're going to do. They follow what you consistently do. Growth attracts growth. That's the rule. You don't recruit leaders by talking louder. You attract them by living stronger. You don't convince disciplined people with excitement. You pull them in with example. The level you grow to determines the level that responds to you. Some of you are trying to motivate people who are already more disciplined than you are. You're trying to lead people who wake up earlier than you, work harder than you, study more than you, and sacrifice more than you. And deep down, you feel it. That's why it frustrates you. That's why it irritates you when they don't move when you speak. It's not disrespect. It's reality. People don't follow words, they follow alignment. When you grow, you don't have to explain yourself as much. Your habits explain you. Your consistency explains you. Your results explain you. When someone sees you showing up when it's hard, staying locked in when it's boring, staying humble when you're winning, and staying hungry when you're losing, something happens. They start leaning in. They start watching closer. They start saying, whatever they're doing, I want that. Growth is loud even when you're silent. That's why real leaders don't beg for attention. Their development creates gravity. 8s follow 10s. 7s follow 9s. Not because they were ordered to, but because excellence recognizes excellence. When you elevate, the people who are ready rise with you. The people who aren't ready either change or disappear. You can't cheat this process. You can't skip becoming and still expect influence. You can't live casually and expect committed followers. People feel the difference between performance and principle. They know when you're trying to impress instead of trying to improve. And improvement is attractive. It's rare. It's undeniable. Some of you are spending too much time trying to pull people up instead of pushing yourself forward. You're arguing with people who aren't growing instead of outgrowing the argument. But when you grow, conversations change. Circles change. Expectations change. And suddenly the same people who doubted you are asking how you did it. That growth creates permission. When people see you evolve, they believe they can too. That's leadership. Not shouting instructions, but modeling transformation. Not telling people to grind, but grinding so hard your life becomes a lesson. When your growth is real, it gives others courage to grow without fear. Stop trying to drag people into your future. Build a future so strong it invites them in. Stop explaining your vision to people who haven't seen your discipline. Grow first. Develop first. Elevate first. Because when you do, the right people won't need convincing. They'll find you. And hear this clearly, if nobody's following you yet, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're still forming. Growth always comes before influence. Always. Stay focused on becoming better, sharper, stronger, wiser. Because the moment your growth becomes undeniable, following becomes automatic. That you can't build a strong life on a weak foundation. You can't just be successful in one lane and think that's enough. I know that's what they told you. Get the money. Chase the bag. Secure the deal. But hear me clearly, if all you build is money and you don't build you, eventually everything you built will collapse under the weight of who you didn't become. Some of you look good on the outside, but you're empty on the inside. You're paid, but you're not peaceful. You're busy, but you're broken. You've got followers, but you don't have balance. And balance is not soft. Balance is strength. Balance is discipline. Balance is understanding that life is not just about one dimension. You are not just a paycheck. You are not just a title. You are not just a grind. You've got to develop the whole you. Your mind, your body, your spirit, your character, your relationships. Because life will test every part of you, not just the part you're good at. When pressure hits, it doesn't ask what your bank account looks like. When sickness comes, it doesn't care how many deals you closed. When stress shows up, it doesn't pause because you're successful. It attacks the areas you neglected. That's why some people crash hard. Not because they weren't talented, not because they weren't gifted, but because they only developed one side of themselves. They polished the outside and ignored the structure. They focused on image instead of integrity. They chased applause instead of alignment. And when the storm came, the cracks showed. You can't pray your way out of what you refuse to prepare for. You can't hustle your way out of what you refuse to heal. You can't flex your way out of what you refuse to fix. Development is work. Quiet work, daily work, unseen work. The kind of work nobody claps for, but everybody benefits from. You need strength when money can't solve it. You need wisdom when speed won't save you. You need discipline when motivation disappears. You need faith when logic runs out. And you don't build those things in emergencies. You build them in ordinary days. Early mornings, boring routines, repetitive habits. Consistent choices. Stop asking life for more when you haven't become more. Stop blaming pressure when pressure only reveals what you practiced. If you don't train your mind, stress will control you. If you don't train your body, fatigue will own you. If you don't train your spirit, fear will dominate you. Development is protection. You weren't designed to succeed in pieces. You were designed to be whole, strong at work and strong at home, driven in your career and disciplined in your health, focused in your goals and grounded in your values. When you build the whole you, life doesn't knock you over as easily. It may hit you, but it won't break you. This isn't about perfection. It's about progression. It's about daily deposits into areas you used to ignore. It's about refusing to be impressive but unstable, refusing to be rich but restless, refusing to be known but not fulfilled. Because the real flex is peace, the real power is balance, the real success is becoming someone who can handle everything. They prayed for you can't hang your hat on one area of your life and call yourself successful. That's a lie we've been sold. You make money so you think you made it. You got a title so you think you arrived. But listen to me closely, success that only lives in one lane is fragile. It looks strong until pressure shows up. And pressure always shows up. Some of you are rich and miserable. Some of you are grinding and unhealthy. Some of you are respected outside but falling apart at home. And you keep telling yourself it's worth it, that one day you'll fix the rest. But life doesn't wait for someday. Life collects payment daily. And the areas you ignore will eventually send you the bill. You can't just be spiritually strong and financially reckless. You can't just be financially strong and emotionally broken. You can't just be physically fit and mentally undisciplined. Leadership requires wholeness. Not perfection, but responsibility. Responsibility for every part of you that you've been avoiding because it's uncomfortable. People think leadership is about being impressive. It's not. Leadership is about being stable. Can you handle success without losing your family? Can you handle pressure without losing your peace? Can you handle growth without losing your values? That's the real test. Because life will elevate you faster than your character if you let it. I've seen people pray for blessings they weren't built to carry. They asked for the platform, but didn't prepare their habits. They asked for influence, but didn't develop integrity. They asked for money, but never learned restraint. And when they got what they wanted, it exposed who they were. Blessings don't change you, they reveal you. You've got to develop balance on purpose. Nobody accidentally becomes whole. Nobody just wakes up disciplined. Nobody stumbles into peace. You train for it. You work for it. You sacrifice for it. You say no to what feels good now, so you can say yes to what matters later. Some of you need to stop flexing and start fixing. Stop trying to look successful and start becoming successful. Because real success doesn't scream, it settles, it rests, it breathes, it sleeps well at night. Real success doesn't need validation, it has alignment. You don't need more money if you don't have more wisdom. You don't need more opportunities if you don't have more discipline. You don't need more followers if you don't have more self-control. Everything you want demands a version of you that you're not yet willing to become. And that's the truth nobody wants to hear. You are not stuck because of lack of opportunity. You're stuck because of lack of development. Life is waiting on you to catch up to what you're asking for, not in one area. In all areas. Your health matters. Your family matters. Your mind matters. Your spirit matters. Your habits matter. You don't get to neglect one and dominate another without consequences. Leadership starts when you decide you're no longer going to be impressive in public and empty in private. When you decide you're done being successful on paper and broken in real life. When you decide to become solid, grounded, whole, and consistent, not just for applause, but for longevity.